CHistrue here, and I want to make a video about the concept of, quote, coolness, or being cool. I am not against genuinely cool things, or necessarily even the expression cool, quote unquote, being cool, or coolness, or this is cool, nor am I necessarily against it in and of itself. However, I do have a problem with how the concept has been misused. I've seen in my years of life, which are longer than they appear, people think that I'm younger than I actually am, I have seen how, quote-unquote, coolness has been sold by the media, has been sold by entertainment, has been sold by popular culture, has been sold as a mechanism of getting us not to see things as they actually are. A lot has been said about how religion has been used against us. Our spiritual impulses have been turned around and used against us. A lot has been said about, oftentimes in very abstract terms, about capitalism, or the state, or the education system, or the misuse of technology for purposes of control. But very little has been said about the misuse of our own social impulses against us. And I think that something needs to be said about it. Because for many, many generations now, this concept of having to fit in, of having to be like everybody else, or having to be, if not like everybody else, and part of a particular subculture, has been used to dull our sense of reality, to get us to go to sleep, to get us to not be fully awake and fully conscious. Now, it has been, those of you who are regular subscribers to my channel know that I've been taking a turn in a different direction ever since my series on masculinity, or healthy masculinity. My last video was on the subject of, I guess you could say, ethnic identity and that particular subject, but that more or less was a break in the overall trend of my video series into getting more and more into how then shall we live. In other words, from the universe as a whole to our own observer-dependent personal realities. Which, whether the universe as a whole is Machian or not, our own individual realities is very Machian in the sense of Ernst Mach, the philosopher. It is observer-dependent. We, in and of ourselves, cannot say what the entire whole is without acknowledging that our own view of that whole is colors it with a set of biases. And in order to have that, you have to have self-knowledge. You have to have self-honesty. You have to have self-understanding. And that has to be a growing reality. That as you grow in your own inner sense of who you are also honest about the limitations of any one particular worldview, of any one particular culture, of any one particular way of, quote-unquote, fitting in or constructing your sense of identity. If you construct your sense of identity on externals, it will be constructed on a house of cards. The corporations, the entertainment industry, the fashion industry, the music industry, all manner of industries they're business people. I don't have anything necessarily against them. They want to make a living. They want to sell their product. And as long as our capitalist system lasts, there are going to be people with products, and there are going to be people who want to sell them. In fact, I'll take you one step further. If we ever get some kind of libertarian socialism or some sort of anarchist syndicalism or something like that, I believe there'll still be marketing. They won't call it capitalist marketing, but it will still exist in some form. There will be a product that a communal group of workers would make, and they will want to make sure that the general society wants it. And so advertising in some form will always be with us. It may not call itself capitalist advertising. It may be sold by hippies on the street in a commune, but it's still advertising. So in essence, that will always exist, but you and I have to be awake and conscious enough to understand how it works. And the more conscious and the more awake we are, the more the advertising that we see won't insult our intelligence, because the advertisers will know better. But if we're not awake and conscious, our intelligence, our sense of the world will continue to be dulled, because that is the way of getting us, of selling us qualities that we already possess. In other words, the quality of being a whole person, the quality of being a true masculine man or a true feminine woman. These are things we already possess. We don't need mascara or for ladies, or fast cars for motorcycles, whatever, for gentlemen. Not to be stereotypical about this, but this is the stereotypical world of advertising. They don't advertise to anyone generally but the norm, and so they want us all to fit into that norm. And there are therefore going to be societal pressures operating from a very, very early age, although I tend to think the millennial generation's waking up a bit, which is a good thing. I'm glad that if my perception of this is correct, I'm glad that that's true. However, the societal pressures are going to be there, and it is incumbent upon us, if we want to be sane and free, to understand those pressures. Overarching everything, we have what we could call the, and I don't want to get into metaphysical concepts, but we'll call it the Matrix, in honor of the movie The Matrix, which is symbolic, you could say, of our commercial society. I know there are a lot of people who want to quote Nick Bostrom and some sort of holographic model of the universe, and maybe that's true. But at the very least, I would say that let's say on the most simple level, I consider the movie to be symbolic of our commercial reality. That we have a vast desert of the real, which is the actual world and its problems, the actual world and its dysfunctions, and then we have a kind of imaginary world of the car they want to sell us, of the music, the corporate music that they want to sell us. Never mind the idea of independent musicians and guitar playing, a lot of which is a lot better, by the way, than what is sold through the corporate mass media. I listen to some good electronica, and it's much better than what is the quote-unquote popular music. But we are conditioned at all age levels at this point. You maybe used to be the very young, but I don't think it's exclusively the very young anymore. We are conditioned to want social media. We are conditioned to want our quote-unquote friends to be mediated through us by technology. I mean, I'm part of the YouTube milieu, so I can't boast on that. I struggle with this as much as anybody else. To sell to me and to get me to buy in would require a different kind of message. I might be susceptible to different types of influences. But it is becoming more and more of an understanding with me, as I would hope it is for you, the extent to which we are being sold qualities we have already. We already have what it takes to be a dignified person. When you are being sold a product that you genuinely need or want, I'm all for buying it. I'm not against buying the latest computer. I'm not against makeup or anything. I'm not against the fast car. I would hope it'd be fuel efficient or electric. That's another issue. But I'm not against the externals. I'm not even against advertising, per se. Because, honestly, even in utopian classless societies, as I said before, there's still going to be advertising. The advertising could be the liberated workers wanting to make sure that you want their product at some kind of a trade for goods and services that will not be called capitalism, but advertising it will be. But for goodness sakes, ladies and gentlemen, let us dispense with this artificial concept of coolness. Oh, we can have a genuine coolness, that's fine. But let us dispense with this idea that we need to fit in to some kind of image in order to be genuinely who we are. You create the image as to who you are. You create the person you want to be. And if others don't value that, then they have no business being in your life anyway. This is CHistrue, moving in a bit of a different direction with this channel. I hope that you like it.